Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Viraj and today we guys are going to discuss OOP in Python. In this session, we will discuss what exactly the OOP is all about, why we used it. Then we will discuss what is a class and object. Later in this series, we are going to cover inheritance, polymorphism and encapsulation. First thing first, object-oriented programming. It is one of the common programming paradigm which is used for developing a large-scale application. What object-oriented programming brings? It brings the code reusability and modularity. Imagine you are developing an application for a bank, healthcare, or finance, or anything. We write down the program into the small functions. There might be chances we end up with writing a similar function name, but the functionality will be the different. And this is a common scenario. Or we don't write an entire program into the one single file. We should not do that. The single file should not contain thousands of lines. Then how we can achieve a modularity and the code reusability? It should not even happen that only you are understanding that particular piece of code. Then object-oriented programming comes into picture. Object-oriented programming has two important things. One is a class and one is an object. Class is nothing but the blueprint or a structure or a template. This structure or a blueprint contains two things. One is attribute and second one is a method. Attributes are equivalent to the variable. So any variable you define inside a class, that is called as attribute. Similarly, methods are equivalent to function. Any function you define inside a class, that is called as a method. The valid naming convention for any class will be the capital case. The first letter will be capital. We can see that student and car are a valid naming convention. Similarly, we should not use underscore or white space in a name. If you are having a name like student detail, then S and D should be in a capital. So these are the valid naming convention. Let's see the syntax for a class design. We are having a class name called as a car. So class is a keyword. Car is a class name. It contains two things. One is attribute and one is method. Name is attribute which is equivalent to variable and details is nothing but the method which is equivalent to a function. As we have defined name and detail inside a class, so that's why it becomes an attribute and method. You will see that this particular method has a one parameter, which is a self. Self is a current instance of a class. What is an instance? What is a self? How this self will work? All these things we are going to discuss later in this series. Then, what is an object? Object is an instance of a class. What is an instance? Instance is capable for accessing all the properties of a particular class. We can say that instance is nothing but the memory address which is pointing to the class. Every instance has its own property which is going to be attribute and method. Imagine we are having a bank. The bank can be the class and object will be the customer. Customer 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. Every customer doesn't deposit the amount. There are few customers which are going to deposit. There are few customers which are going to withdraw. There are few customers who are going to take the loan and there will be a few employees. So all things are not a class. All things are not an object. So we have to understand the difference between a class and object. Each object is independent. Imagine I am Viraj and I am having a 10 lakh amount in my bank. So this 10 lakh balance is for me. It is not somebody who is a Ravi or a Jeevan or a Vijay. So all these customers will have their own state and behavior. Means they will have their own balance and credit score and other things. So we have to understand thin line difference between a class and object. The syntax for an object is object name equivalent to class name opening closing. Opening closing is mandatory. We can see that on the right hand side we are having a car class which has two properties. One is a name and details. So this customer equivalent to car. So customer can access a name as well as in details. So customer is nothing but the object name and car is nothing but the class name. We can see that this is a design of a one of the car. Let's imagine this is a Honda City car design or a blueprint. From this blueprint, we can create a n number of Honda City. Each Honda City can have a color which can be white, blue, green, yellow and etc. Then each Honda City will have some engine type that can be petrol, diesel or a CNG. Each Honda City will have some capacity of a passenger like 4 or 5 or so on. Similarly, each Honda City have some dimension, maximum speed, mileage. The few things are changeable and the few things are not changeable. Means there are a few common things which is a dimension. Doesn't matter whether you buy a base model or a top end model. Everything remains same. The dimension remains same. The engine remains same. If you are choosing a petrol, the engine remains same, and even in a diesel, engine remains same. It has a 4 doors, 1 steering, which is again the same. The thin line difference we have to understand, this entire design we can call it as, or this entire framework or a structure we can call it as a class. And based on a customer or based on a owner of that particular car, the requirement get changes. The requirement will be like a white color car, blue color car, green color car and so on. So we can see that we are having a car. Here we are having a 3 object, customer or car owner 1, car owner 2, car owner 3. Here all these 3 cars are different. One is a black, one is a white, one is blue. Their engine specification can be also different. One can be the petrol, one can be the CNG, one can be the diesel. But the common properties are the same, like 4 doors, 1 steering, alloy wheels and so on. But the few things are changeable like color, sunroof, model and so on. Means whether it is a base model, whether it is a top model. So this is how we can separate it, what is a class and what is an object. We will see this in a practically. Okay guys, let's see the practical implementation of object-oriented programming. In this session, we will see class and object. Class and object. We already know that class is nothing but a blueprint or a structure, and object is an instance of that class. Okay, let's create a class called as a test. Num equal to 100. Then def show data self print I am in show data. Test is a class. Num is attribute of a test class. Show data is method of a test class. T1 equal to test, opening closing. T1 is a object of test class. T1 can access num as well as show data, which indirectly say that T1 can access all properties of test class. T1 dot num, we can see the 100. T1 dot show data, we can get a I am in a show data. To understand this concept betterly, what we can do, print dir T1. What is a dir? Dir will return all the objects or all the available things in a memory. Right now it is pointing to the T1, so it will print all the attribute method associated to this particular object. So what we are able to see right now, double underscore something and double underscore at ending. So these are nothing but the dunder method or double underscore method, or it is also called a special method or attributes. We have to focus on these two things, num and show data. Num is an attribute and show data is nothing but the method. But here there is no specification, or we are not able to understand whether the num is attribute or method, or a show data is attribute or method. How we can understand this concept more betterly? Then one more function that we have to understand, that is a help, T1. We can see that class test, this particular class has a few method that is called as a show data, and attribute are defined here, num equal to 100. So this is all about what exactly the class and what is the object. We will see the couple of more example in a coming session. Thanks.